everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. This is a video series where Lori and I are taking the time to play through our library 2 or 3 games at a time and then making a video. We hope you enjoy this series, and I'm always telling you that we play our library, and that's what I wanted to show you and why I wanted to make this video series. So I hope you enjoy it. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, and today, just now, Lori and I got done playing Verdant. First time we've played it. So I've got one play under my belt of this game. The designers are Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, Aaron Messburn, Kevin Russ, Sean Stankiewicz, and the art is by Beth Sobel. It's a 2022 title, 1 to 5 players, so it has a solo variant in it for my friends out there that play solo games. A lot of people like to do that, especially with games like this. This is a nice, tight little puzzle, and this solo variant, I'm going to have to try this solo just to see what it's like, but I bet it's really, really good. And this is a grid coverage game where you're going to be laying down a 5x3 grid of cards, open drafting system, and set collection going on. And let's talk about, this is Flatout Games, and they do a nice job with their production. Of course, Calico is outstanding. Cascadia was outstanding by Randy Flynn. And I love both those games. And then this is, what you get in the box. These 2 different decks of cards. You get this deck of cards that's plants, a deck of cards that are rooms, a ton of tiles that go in this bag. There are nurture tiles and item tiles, unique item tiles, tiles for bonus pots that once you complete your plants, different types of pots. I think there's like stone and clay and different, depending on how soon you finish those plants in your grid, you get the quicker you get those, the more bonus points you get for doing so. But the box is nice, and components are outstanding. I mean, we kickstarted this, so I don't know if the retail version will be exactly like this. I don't know. But you get these green thumb tokens that are all cardboard. The only thing that's wood in the game are the Verdant tokens. These Verdant Thief tokens, the leaves. The smaller ones are 1 point, and the larger ones are 3 points. Then you also get a bunch of player aid cards, which come in very handy because it tells you how you score in the game, and you want to know that when you play any board game. If you play any board game and you've never played it before, the one thing you want to ask is, how do I score points? What's the winning condition? Is it most points? Is it completing tasks or whatever? But how do I do that? Then you need to know that to play the game well. So you get those two player aid cards, which are very, very nice. And then it comes with a pad of score sheets, and we just laminate one usually and use that. And then each player gets a storage card also, and it gives you a place to store 1 item token only, and that's it. Just one, that's all, that's your warehouse. Just one of those tokens, and then at the bottom of the card you can store these green thumbs, and you can store up to 5 of them. Anything beyond that you have to discard. And those give you various benefits also. But let's start from scratch here. And also, you get a beautiful draw bag. It says Verdant on it. Fit my hand in it. It's got a wide mouth. I like that. And the rule book is very good, you guys. It's an excellent rule book. It goes through all the items that come in the game. Shows you how to set the game up. This is a 2-player setup example. And then it gives you an overview of the game and exactly how to play it. And let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of directions, and beyond that it's how to score and in-game scoring and so forth. Variants, so it gives you solo mode directions in the rule book. So the rule book's very, very good, and I just love this game. I mean, I loved Calico and I loved Cascadia. Cascadia was my pick for Game of the Year last year, and it won the Spiel des Jahres. I was the only one that picked that as the Game of the Year, I might add. Hey, it's all right, hold your applause. But this game is outstanding, just like the other 2. I didn't think it would be. I'm going to have to admit it because, when I found out it was AEG and Flatout Games and the design team that was behind it, because I loved Calico, and Kevin Russ was one of the designers on this project, so I was predisposed to being interested in it because of that. Those 2 games I absolutely adore. They're going to be a couple of games that I play until I can't play games anymore. So I really, really enjoy those 2 games. And when I heard this one was being kickstarted, I immediately said, yeah, let's look into it. And then when I saw it, I was like, another card game. I mean, it just, you know, card games, there's so many of them. Which ones do you keep? Which ones do you, you know, like enough that you're going to throw your money into Kickstarter and get before you even play the game? So I had some reservations about it when I saw it was a card game, and I didn't think it would be something that I would love as much as Calico and Cascadia. But lo and behold, after playing it, it's changed my mind. It's an outstanding game. This is an excellent little puzzle. And I'm just going to talk about for a minute, Beth Sobel does the art in this game, and if you're not familiar with her, she's an outstanding artist. These cards, these plant cards, are absolutely gorgeous. Different types of plants, and it talks about at the bottom, gives you a little bit of information about each type of plant. So that type of stuff is over and above what you have to do in a game, and I really love that. And the cards themselves are very nice linen cards, good card stock. I mean, it's a card game. You know, for people who design and produce card games for publishing companies that do board games, and they give you that crappy card stock, it drives you nuts. And I would say, like Dune Imperium, I just didn't care for the card stock in that game, even though I love the game. But I'd much rather a nice thick linen card stock in my games. And this one has that, so that's very nice. And also in this game, you will have a bunch of endgame goal cards that you can add to the game. Now, this is the advanced variant. We went ahead and added them right in. You know what though? It's funny. I said, yeah, let's add in those endgame goal cards, and then the whole game I didn't pay attention to them whatsoever. I might have looked at them one time because there's so much going on besides that. You're like, your head's spinning in this game, trying to put together the maximum points that you can in your 5x3 grid, and that's the size of the grid when you're finished that you're going to have. Once both players have finished that 5x3 grid, the game is done. But to start the game, you're simply going to have a room card. These are room cards. These are plant cards. You'll have one of each to start out your grid. And in this market of cards and tiles, on your turn, you get to pick a card and a tile combination. Now, in Cascadia, it was very similar. You could do the same thing, except here you get a choice of 2 cards for each tile. So it makes it a little more difficult because you're choosing, do I want a room card? Do I want a plant card? Do I want to get that card while the getting's good, because it may not be there when it comes to be my turn again? And that happened to both of us several times during the game. Oh crap, I wanted that card. Even though there's 8 of them out here, a lot of times your opponent's going to take the card that you want, or the tile that you want. But you'll take a card and a tile, and then you can either play that tile, that item tile, or nurture tile. I didn't mention those. These green tiles are nurture tiles, and there's nurture items, and there's 3 different ones, and they do 3 different things, and they put Verdant on your cards, which are these leaves, and those are the things that complete your plants. And you can pot your plant. After you get the right amount of Verdant on that card, you can pot the plant. And you get bonuses for doing that. So you're going to choose one of these card and tile combinations and put it in your grid, and then you immediately replace the card and the tile, and the card that did not get chosen, you put one of these green thumb tokens on the cards. And the green thumb tokens can do 3 different things. You can replace any number of tokens in this grid for 2 green thumb tokens. Each of the 3 actions for the green thumbs takes 2 green thumb tokens to do. So you can replace any number of these tokens. You can replace any number of cards that don't have green thumbs on them. You can draft any card and token combination. And that's similar to Cascadia. I think you can do that in Cascadia by using those pine cones or something, where you can draft out of, because when you draft these combinations, it has to be from the same row. I didn't mention that. So if you were to take this card, you'd have to take this tile, or this card, you'd have to take this tile. But you can take from a different row if you use 2 of the green thumbs. And then, there's 4 actions. You can also use 2 green thumbs to add 1 adjacency to any card. Just 1 to any plant. Any plant. So those are the green thumb actions. So these green thumbs can accumulate on these cards by the card not being selected. And then it definitely has an influence over you as to whether you're going to take that card or not. So that's something that you have to think about. And then you're trying to put these in here because on these plant cards, and you're trying to complete them so you can pot them. It has some iconography, and on this one it gives you lighting conditions, and you have to match those lighting conditions in order to gain verdancy, which is that green number in the green right there. In this case, 4 verdancy completes this plant. So if I laid this card in my grid such that I satisfied these 2 lighting conditions, I could put 2 verdancy on there. See what I'm saying? And then you have to complete the rest of this by using these nurture tokens or placing another room card next to it that has those lighting conditions in order to complete that verdancy. And once you complete those 4 verdancy points, you take one of the bonus pots that are in the they're laying next to the market, and they go in ascending order. So you start out with 3 points on the good ones because the early bird gets the worm. In this case, no pun intended, but 3 points for the first ones that you get. So once you complete that verdancy, you get these 3 points on the card at the end of the game. But also at the end of the game, once you complete this, you have 3 of each of the bonus pots laying in the market, and the first player to get there and get, because they go in ascending order like I said, so there's 3 3-pointers, 3 2-pointers, 3 1-pointers, and then beyond that you just take one of these clay pots and put on your completed plant, which you get points. You don't get points for that pot, but you get points for the card being completed. So if you want points for the pots, you got to get there early. The people that get there the earliest get those bonus pots. And then also it has a color banner on here that shows a plant type, and that plant type will also be on these room cards. So you can see this is a yellow banner, and if I place it over here, which I did in my grid, if you can, hopefully you can see that, but I have 2 yellow plant cards right here, and I have a yellow room here and a yellow room here. So at the end of the game, I got bonus points for these 2 plant types being adjacent to this, and these 2 plant types being adjacent to this yellow card. So I got, and then you also take these items and match them up on these cards, and you get double points. So instead of 1 point for the plants of that type being adjacent, you get 2 points. And so you're just thinking about all this stuff when you're doing this open drafting. And it's magnificent. I love these types of puzzle games. Again, this is a game that anybody can buy. And I'm talking about people who don't play a lot of board games. That's the type of games that grow this hobby. Are games like Verdant, Calico, Cascadia, Sagrada. Those games grow this hobby because they're not that difficult to play that people who don't play board games would buy them and be so intimidated they were like, I'll never figure this out. They'll put it in the closet and never play it again. You don't want to have somebody that doesn't play board games going out and buying Twilight Imperium. They won't have fun. They'll read the rule book and think, well, this is insanity. So, of course, I think that anyway, because once is enough for me with those games, and just it's too much. But this type of game, this is what do you call it, gateway or entry level that someone can pick up and play. Not to mention a person that wants to play solo games. This is just a beautiful card system to sit down and have a great time doing. Now, I will say this: the plant theme turned me off just a little bit because it's been done. Over and over again. I was a little bit put off by that, I will admit. You could have done a high fantasy theme in this game. Have different races or classes of warriors or whatever, and different types of tokens that do the same thing, and you could do this same type of situation under a different theme. And I think it may have been, and there would be a good argument made that the game would probably see a higher level of popularity had they chosen a different theme. Maybe even animals would have been better, even though animals have been done to death. But it is beautiful the way they did it, and the plants are gorgeous, the cards are gorgeous, the art in the game is gorgeous. It is a wonderful, wonderful, thinky puzzle to solve. Lori and I only have to play it one time. This is one of those games that's so quick and good. that it doesn't take a bunch of plays to figure it out. This is an outstanding game. It's well designed. I just love everything about it. And in the box we got, of course this was a Kickstarter, so we got a bunch of these new plant cards that you get green thumbs for instead of Verdancy tokens. And then there was a bunch of
extra gold cards.
Yeah, extra endgame gold cards that we got also. And there's quite a few of those in the game. But I mean, even the retail version of this game is going to be fantastic. It's going to play exactly the same. I would suggest anybody try this game at a convention. If you like Calico and you like Cascadia, you're going to like this. It's just you know, very similar in feel. That thinky puzzle where you have a lot of different options and different things to think about when you're trying to make a selection from the market as to where and when you're going to place things. Because, you know, do you want to take a room? Do you want to take a plant this time? You know, which ones are out there? Is the one that I'm looking for out there, the kind of plant, the color of room card, are they out there? Do I want to take the one with the thumb tokens on it so that I can pay 2 thumb tokens and replace some of those cards because I need a different color room card that's not out there right now? So those kinds of things go on in your head continually. And the most of the time you're just thinking in this game. So there's not a lot of conversation going on. But I like that. I like that small rule set and that tight, complex puzzle that you have to weave together. And again, this is a half-hour, 45-minute game. It's just outstanding. I can't say enough about it. I couldn't say enough about Cascadia. I couldn't say enough about Calico. I just love both those games, and I love this one, and I wanted to tell you about it. And then also I want to mention Randy Flynn that did Cascadia has a Kickstarter for a game right now. Is it Kickstarter or GameFound?
GameFound, I think.
It's on GameFound and it's called To Breeze. You know, again, I've told you guys before, if there's a designer that has impressed you in the past, check out his stuff. You might find something else that you really fall in love with. So I'm going to look at To Breeze very closely and decide whether... I'm very careful about what I back on Kickstarter or GameFound. It takes so long to get your game. I mean, they've got your money sometimes. I think we just read yesterday, or read where a game just delivered after 3 years. So for 3 years, they had these people's money on Kickstarter. So that's why I tell you to be very, very careful about what you back on Kickstarter. Is it a publisher that has a good reputation? Is it a board game designer that has a good reputation? Because there's so many first-time designers, so many new designers out there, and they're taking games and mechanisms from other games and just mashing them all together, and sometimes they make a good game and sometimes they don't. So you have to be very, very careful about that. And so I always warn people before they punch a bunch of money into Kickstarter or GameFound or what's the other crowd one? Backer Kit. You know, so before you do that, make sure you look into it and, you know, read all you can on Board Game Geek about these individuals and don't throw your money away. Sometimes waiting on the retail edition works out because a lot of times the first edition has mistakes in it, it has problems in the game, it's delivered, and then in the second edition or second Kickstarter, if they run one, they fix all those things and you end up having a more complete game. So there's so much to consider, is my point. And this game I felt very comfortable about because we've backed Calico and Cascadia from AEG and Flatout Games. They did a wonderful job. They delivered on time and they got me my money's worth. I think this game was inexpensive. I mean, by today's comparisons, if you look at how much board games cost, this game was relatively inexpensive. I don't know if it's $29 or $39.
$29.
29 bucks. I mean, you know, and what did I get? A great game with some tremendous art, some outstanding card stock, some wonderful components, and you know, I don't ask for much more than that for 30 bucks. So, but this for $30 is a game you can play the rest of your. You can play it now. The day you get it, you can read the rule book and play it, and you'll play it the rest of your life because it's a lot of fun and it makes you think, and that's two of the things that are very important in board gaming. So yeah, it's an outstanding game. It's in my top 10 of the year, I can tell you that right now. And I don't know where it'll be, and that's Verdant 2022. It'll be in my top 10 for sure. Outstanding game. Nice job, you guys. Nice job, Beth Sobel, with the art. I mean, this picture on the front just makes me want to sit next to that kitty and just watch a good movie or something and drink some hot cocoa. But yeah, I love that stuff. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today Lori and I just got done playing Reef 3 times in a row, which took about an hour. 3 times, 20 minutes a shot. And Reef is a game that came out in 2018. It's by Emerson Matsuuchi, the guy that did Foundations of Rome, and he's probably done some other things that I'm not thinking of. And it's a 2 to 4 player game. And this is a hand management pattern building game. Those two mechanisms work beautifully together, and the winning condition is the most points on these cardboard chits here. And let's see, let's talk about the box. Is very nice and thick. I like that. Your coral reef things here are very thick. They're player boards. You get a bunch of these chunky plastic pieces of coral, a whole bunch of them. These are the ones you don't use with 2 players because we just play it with 2 players. And the cards are nice, but Lori and I sleeved these in nice sleeves because this is a game that we'll never get rid of. It's one of those games, evergreen game, is that what they call games, where it just keeps on giving all the time? Reef is that game. It's a game that just keeps on giving, much like Calico, much like Cascadia, and much like the one we paired in this video, Verdant, that we just received. It's that type of puzzly nature game that is just fun to get out and play. And every time I play this game, I'm just in awe about the number of people that have either never played this game or played it and just didn't understand exactly how deep and complex this pattern building system can be. Because what you're doing on your turn is you start out with 2 cards in your hand to begin the game, and you're going to start building patterns to score the bottom of the card. These cards have 2 things printed on them. They have coral reef at the top, and when you play this card, you're going to take that coral from the supply. Whatever's on the top of that card, you're going to take that coral. And then if you can, on the bottom, you're going to complete that card by doing that pattern. So the thing you're trying to do is be as efficient as possible. So every time you play one of these cards, you not only take coral, but you complete the bottom at least 1 time. Now there's sometimes you can do it 2 or 3 times, which is very rare, but if you can, that's really just a boon for your game. So you want to be as efficient as possible. Now when you're looking at that in your hand, you have a hand size of 4. That's the max. So you're looking at the market down here, and you can take any one of these 3 cards, plus you could take the one off the top of the deck. Now if you want to take the one off the top of the deck, you have to pay a coin to do that, and you put it on the lowest value card of the other 3 that's in the market. But you can take that one off the top of the deck. And the thing that you're thinking about is looking at the cards in your hand. I want to complete these patterns. I don't want to waste these cards. But I need the coral to do it. So you're looking at the market and you're like, okay, I see the coral I need. What's on the bottom of it? Can I complete that pattern before that card has to leave my hand? Because it really hurts to play a card and only take coral. And that's the thing that'll really hurt you in this game. So you're constantly deciding which card to take, and to help you finish the patterns on the bottom of the cards that are already in your hand. Plus, you want to look at the other cards in the market, because you're continually trying to daisy chain all of these cards together. It's constantly turning them over. You're constantly looking. Which cards do I want? Can I complete the pattern on the bottom? Which coral do I need to complete the pattern of the cards already in my hand? Because the ones in your hand, the ones you gotta complete, or you're gonna end up playing them just taking the coral. And sometimes you'll have to do that. You might get in a bind and you have to do that. And then once you complete that pattern, it has a value on the bottom right hand corner, and that's the number of points you'll take in point tokens out of the middle. And I tell you what, this game is so much fun, and you can develop that pattern and build that pattern on your coral reef here any way you wish. Now, okay, so now I play this card, and I get 2 green coral, and I look at my card, and I have to have 4 purples in a square like that, which I do. So I play that card, and I take these 2 green coral, and I got to play these before I score that card. Okay? Well, fortunately, what I'm trying to do, because I still got this card in my hand, is I want to score 3 greens in a row like that. They have to be side by side with each other. So I'm looking at my board, and I'm going to take these green corals, and I have a stack of gold here. I'm going to put a green one on top of that in order to complete that pattern right there. I've completed it. So I get that at least once. And then I can do anything I want to with this other green. And I might be looking in the market here and I see a card that wants to have 4 greens in a square. So what I want to do is, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I want that card. I mean, I could have taken that because I only had 2 cards in my hand, but I didn't. So I'm gambling that my opponent won't take that card, but I'm going to complete this pattern. So that pattern is ready to go, and I finished my turn. I got to put this on the board somewhere, so I'm going to put it right here to make that pattern right there in the market. I hope I get that card. So right now, I've got this in my hand. My opponent takes their turn, and I'm going to take my turn. I'm going to play this card. I'm going to take a red and a gold that was on the top there. See those? That's the coral that I take. The bottom, 3 greens in a row. I get 4 points because it's in the bottom right hand corner. I get 4 of those points. And now I got to place these. Well, I'm looking in the market. What can I do to complete some of the patterns that are in the market? I see I have a gold and a red side by side. That seems pretty easy, but I have no red showing. But I got one in my hand. So what I'm going to do is say, you know what, I can do that. I can do that card, I can do that card. So I'm going to put this red right next to the gold. So I could put this gold anywhere. Looking ahead, it looks like I need 2 side-by-side golds. Could I ever complete that? Well, you know what, I might. So I'm going to put that over here on top of this one green one, like that. And then I score that, which I did, and I got 4 points, and my opponent takes their turn. They didn't take this card that I wanted ever so bad, and I take that card and put it in my hand, and this one comes off the top of the deck and goes there in the market. And oh my gosh, I've got another one I can complete. And that's what you're doing. And you can complete those any way you possibly can. You can place that coral anywhere on this board to complete those cards. So you don't have to put them on the same colors. You can change the colors up in order to match that pattern. And that's one thing I think a lot of people that play this game don't get how deep that is, because some of these have requirements. Like this one here has gold side by side, 2 high, has the number 2 on it. It doesn't say 2 plus, because if it says 2 plus, it can be any length up to 4. 4 is a max. So, and once you build your stack up to 4, you can no longer change the color of that stack, and that's a drag. So, but it happens, and that's the way it is, because some of these cards in here have stacks of 4, and you have to have those at 4 in order to score that card. But 2 gold by 2 gold, and I have it here on this board. 2 by 2, I can complete that site. That card would be a boon for me to take in my hand because it's already completed on my board. And then I have to plan ahead and say, what can I do with red? It's crazy, there's no red patterns in the market right now. And that really blows, because I'm going to take that card anyway and gamble. And maybe one will come up, because this one would already be gone, and hopefully another red would come up. Another card that has a red pattern on it. So those are the type of challenges that you have in this game. This game is magnificent, I'm telling you. And once this deck is completely emptied, the game ends. Or once one of these stacks of coral, and there's those green ones out here too. But once one of these, there's 4 colors. Once one of these stacks of coral is empty, the game ends also. And then whatever you have left, cards you have left in your hand, you can play those and complete them if you have the pattern already on your board. But you can only do it one time. I mean, if you had multiple patterns, it doesn't matter at the end of the game. You can only do it one time. But you can complete the cards you have left over. And then everybody counts up their points, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the game. And we played this in 25 minutes. And this is the rule book. Yeah, I love that. You got the title page, 1, 2, and a quarter pages of instructions, 2 1/4, and then this is, credits and stuff on the back page. That's it for Reef. But the game is absolutely phenomenal. It's fun, and this came out in 2018, and so did Azul, and Azul won the Spiel des Jahres, but Michael Kiesling's German. I mean, I gotta believe that has something to do with it. But Emerson Matsuuchi, this game was better than Azul. I like it better than original Azul. I love Azul Summer Pavilion. It's a little more complex, but this Reef game is absolutely fabulous. Again, it's one of those evergreen games. Just keeps on giving back. It's just different every time you play it because of the pattern building and the cards. And you want to daisy chain all those cards. And you're only allowed 4, so there's times you'll push that limit and have 4, and then you got to start playing your cards and looking in the market and seeing what your opponent's taking. Oh my gosh, I needed that card, they took that, now what am I going to do? But you're playing the cards in your hand, and you're looking ahead because you're just continually turning those cards over, and you want to play them so that you can receive the coral and finish the pattern or present the pattern on your board so that you can score the bottom of the card. And that's the secret to having a great game of Reef. And that's all there is to it. I wanted to tell you about it, and I'm telling you what, Calico, Cascadia, Reef, Verdant, all those games that are puzzly in nature, Lori and I really enjoy those, and they are tremendous at two. And you could make a library out of Verdant, Calico, Cascadia, and Reef. I mean, we were talking earlier, Lori and I, about when we were young and raising kids and stuff, we had maybe 10 games, and we would play a game once every 3 months or something. And there's people still that game like that. So if you wanted to be a gamer like that, and you had those 4 games I just mentioned, you'd be set. You drag one of those out and just play them, you know, once every 3 months. Pick a different one. And they're so simple and so elegant in their design, and they're just beautifully, simply complex, and that's priceless sometimes. And Reef is in that category, and I wanted to tell you about it, and that's Reef, and I'll see you next time on The Bones Collector. Okay, everybody, that was the games for today that we played this week, and I hope you enjoyed them. Please like and subscribe. When you take the time to like our videos and then make a comment, that's our payday. We don't get paid for any of this until you guys tell us what you think of our video. And thank you so much for that. Have a great day, and I'll see you the next time on The Bones Collector. And remember to keep on board gaming, because it is the best doggone hobby on the planet. Bye-bye.